Nancy Zeman. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Sewing with Nancy. It's time to discover the joy of sewing and quilting. Today we have an exciting program. We'd like to start by giving you some guidelines on how to work with the pattern guide and also how to give samples or set up samples in your class. We're going to be using two fabrics to create this wall hanging, and knowing what fabrics to use, you can be very creative. My machine is set up for an overlock stitch. This is a great technique, not only because it looks good, but it's so fast. This program is the start of a three-part series called Creative Embroidery Connection. And this is the third program of my three-part series entitled, you guessed it, Sewing for Children. Since we're so fortunate to have a guest this week, Mary Malari, we're going to feature her in our guest showcase. Today we'd like to welcome our special guest, Gail Brown. Natalie, it's always a pleasure to work with you, and now to share this new idea of flower garden quilting. Eileen Roche, our resident embroidery expert and designer, is my guest to share insights into how she designs embroidery, and you'll be surprised what a great look you can create. It's just that easy. That's what's coming up next on Sewing with Nancy. See you soon. What a treat to have you here. As you can tell at home, this is a special day on Sewing with Nancy. It's our 30th anniversary special, a two-part series where I'm going to have special guests, look back over the last 30 years, different hairstyles, different scenery, special guests, and of course, some bloopers. The 30th anniversary special, that's what's coming up next on Sewing with Nancy.
Sewing with Nancy, celebrating 30 years of sewing and quilting with Nancy Zeman, is made possible by Baby Lock, a complete line of sewing, quilting, and embroidery machines and sergers. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Madeira, specializing in embroidery, quilting, and special effects threads because creativity is never black and white. Koala Studios, fine sewing furniture custom built in America. Clover, makers of sewing, knitting, quilting, and embroidery products for over 25 years. Experience the Clover difference. Amazing Designs and Class A Needles.
To begin this 30th anniversary special, I thought it best to tell you how I started, how this became my classroom. People often ask, what's my background? Well, I began to sew when I was 10 years old, and I joined the 4-H Club. Many people of my generation living in rural America, eastern Wisconsin, particularly for me, were 4-H members, and sewing, of course, became my passion. Also took forestry, but we're not going there. And when you had sewing, you had to have volunteer leaders through 4-H, and my first 4-H leader is with me and today, and she taught 6 to 7 different kids all together. We made a gathered skirt, a fringe scarf. Not only is she my first 4-H leader, but also my mother. I'd like you to meet my mom, Barbara Litke-Eckstein. 4-H and sewing gave me confidence. Obviously, I have a facial paralysis, not the normal television type of personality. Gave me confidence to grow as a person. I loved it, and then majored it in college. I have a degree in clothing, textiles, and design from UW Stout, minor in journalism. And after college, I had job interviews. One of the job interviews was in Chicago. And that first job interview was with Mr. Zeman. Yeah, if that name rings a bell, yeah, I got the job. 2 years later, we were married, and some people call him Mr. Nancy. Some people have referred to him as Mr. Notions. Yeah. I call him Rich. I'd like you to meet my husband, Rich Zeman. It's really a treat to have my family here. You know, what an honor for me. And after we were married, we moved to Virginia, Minnesota, where Rich had a job. and I didn't have one. I didn't have a job. So I decided to give sewing seminars. And so I did. County Extension Services, stores, traveled around the country, got old quickly. And people would say, where do you get that product you're using? And after about 2 times seminars around the country, I thought, well, I'm going to paste up an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And Rich thought I should call it So Sensational. I called it Nancy's Notions. I liked the alliteration of it all. So 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, made Nancy's Notions, got a P.O. box in Virginia, Minnesota. Our second bedroom of our 2-bedroom apartment became the warehouse, the sewing room, and the guest room. Yep, all in one. Then shortly thereafter, I was asked to do a pilot for cable television. Now in 1982, cable television, you wouldn't know what that was. I thought it was the heavy cable that was holding the antenna to the top of our roof. Luckily, not too many people had that because I tried it. In our home, we had a 2-bedroom house. In our living room, our dining room table became the demonstration table, also the sewing table, all in one. And we have one clip to show you. That's our only clip we have of that first full year of programming. A very green host with a very condensed set, very wobbly table, but I forged forward to show you a first clip, an embarrassing first clip of the first year of Sewing with Nancy called Contemporary Tailoring. Hi, I'm Nancy Zeman. Welcome to another program of Sewing with Nancy. Today we conclude our 4-part series of contemporary tailoring. I'm going to set my machine at a basting stitch just in case I have to take it out. Now I'll go to my machine. I have the machine set at the basting stitch. Usually that's 6 or 8 stitches per inch, and sew from the point of the lapel to the edge. Now, it's always important in this area that all your stitches lock. So when you start to stitch, make certain that the take-up lever, the lever that goes up and down on your machine, is in its upright position. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, after 11 shows, taped in my home, and I got a sunburn the first time because our ceilings were 8 feet high. Took 13 hours. It was bad. But after 11 shows, the producer said, this isn't working so well. We're not going to do this anymore. And then he kind of cavalierly said, oh, go ahead and do it yourself. We had a 3-month-old baby. I thought, no, there'd be no way I was going to do this again. And I remember that night waking up in a cold sweat, sitting upright and thinking, if you don't do this now, Nancy, you'll never have another opportunity. Next day I made some phone calls to video production companies. Really didn't know what I was talking about, but called them. Secured a 3-month contract with the network because I didn't think I could pay the bills, and we started producing the shows on their own. Went from a basement studio to an ABC affiliate and now to my home at Wisconsin Public Television. We've had lots of changes over these 30 years. Lots of set designs, different colors, different looks. Oh my goodness, you will be able to tell from this summary of clips that we've had a lot of changes over the years. So now you're going to see Sewing with Nancy set designs throughout the years. We'll go to the machine and sew this right now. Now the machine settings for working with suede, the synthetic suedes, of course, are a straight stitch, but use a relatively long stitch, 10 to 9 stitches per inch. Now I'm going to use 2 of the 4 threads to over edge the seam. Let's check this small scale one and show them how we started to make this. We have our sewing machine set up for monogramming. Now the same type of seam can be carried out through the facing area. Working with specialty threads require hand-in-hand working with specialty needles. Simple construction. Again, we're going to be using those exposed zipper ideas, would simply be tacked into place. Now this one would probably require a lot of tacking because of the various details. Yeah, how about that for changes? Yes, a lot of them. Well, I'm often asked how I determine what topics to choose. Well, if I like it, I figure out you will too. And so it's not, the litmus test isn't very difficult. In the 80s, I had young children, I had a staff with young children. Oh, what better program than Sewing for Children? Yes. And if you're sewing for children, you also have to have children. You know, you have to have models. So I invited children, lots of children, to be my guest. 5, in fact, at one time on air. Now, I want you to pay special attention. Yeah, I learned. Yeah. Pay special attention to a cute little blonde boy who is holding a kitty. And then you'll also notice a rather frazzled, bad hair day host. And when I'm nervous, I talk fast. Well, the longer this tape runs, the faster I talk. And I have no idea really what I said at the end. But I'd like you now just to take a little look at Sewing for Children, the first issue. Today we have a special 3-part series on, you guessed it, Sewing for Children. We're going to, in our first segment, work with t-shirts and make 7 variations from one basic t-shirt style. As you can see, our little boy Ted here is wearing a t-shirt with a double ribbing. And then we'll also be making a football jersey from a t-shirt, as well as some things for little girls and little boys combined. Then we're going to have a series on sewing for little girls' dresses, specialty techniques, decorative stitches, as well as some growth techniques. That's right, John. And then in our last segment of Sewing for Children, we have specialty things for little boys. We're going to be working with bib overhauls and pants and putting some specialty construction as well as some applique and decorative touches. I think you'll enjoy this video. Take it step by step with me. You can stop this at any time and replay it and go over a technique like you'd like to see. We'll start off with the t-shirt. Well, yeah, that little boy grew up, and that little boy is our oldest son, Ted. I'd like you to meet Ted. And sitting next to him is his lovely wife, Allison. And there's Allie. Now, the best part about having adult children is that we have now a future generation to do more sewing for children. I'd like to introduce you to my next guests and models to be, Avery and Luella. Oh, no. Oh, boy. But I got smarter. I got smarter as I go along. I went to more children sewing, but one child on a time. Notice the dimples. In the third program on Knit Trends, I have great updates on changing the look of necklines or waistlines. Tommy is showing us our first look. Stack bandings at the neckline. The sewing is easy. It has great detail. Oh, it was short, but wasn't it sweet? Our family is complete by introducing you to our youngest son, Tom. Welcome. Over the past 30 years, I've had a variety of guests. We've shown a variety of topics: sewing, quilting, embroidering, serging. The guest you're about to meet has been on 46 shows, the most of any guest of Sewing with Nancy. And I must say, she's our most agreeable guest.
Thank you, Nancy. It's going to be fun to work together.
Thanks. It's always fun to share ideas with you and your viewers. I think we have some exciting projects to share.
These are some great ideas, Nancy. Thanks, Nancy. I always enjoy thinking of new sweatshirt innovations.
Thanks, Nancy. I know from the overwhelming response we've had to past programs that our viewers really like to transform sweatshirts.
Mary Malari.
And it's true, Nancy, they still like to transform sweatshirts.
Oh, they do. You know, we have shown together a variety of topics.
I'd like to say it's A to Z. Aprons, reversible aprons, applique. We've shown Sew Green makeovers. We've shown tote bags. We've shown sweatshirts many times, and we've shown zipper bags.
Oh, yes.
A to Z, you know.
Yeah, the famous zipper bag.
Right.
And Mary, at first, I could hardly get you to say a word.
I know, people said, why didn't you talk more? And why did Nancy do all the talking? But that's just
She's
the way.
learned.
I have.
Yeah. Sometimes she says, just let me do it.
Well, we should talk about how we met when you were teaching in Minnesota. I was one of your students. And I
taught her everything she knew.
Right, okay. And I was an English teacher at the time who just liked to sew. And 30 years later, here we're still working together.
And Mary brought to one of our first classes a makeover sweatshirt, an applique idea.
That's right. I couldn't resist.
And it was a really novel thing 30 years ago.
Oh, I guess. Really novel.
To put an embellishment on a shirt. Oh, and I remember it was an apple, and then you had one with a loon. Of course, you're from Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
That would explain that.
Yeah. And we had so many sweatshirts, sweatshirt makeovers, first-rate sweatshirts. Oh, you name
expressive sweatshirts, first rate. Yeah, on and on.
Mm-hmm. But then when you have a sweatshirt and you have appliques, there are places that you should not.
That's right.
Not put an applique. And we left this in the tape.
That's right.
Consider that we're going to mark the bust line. We would place the garment on the body and we would mark the bust line with pins, and then this would help us to determine where not to place decoration.
Well, it's still very important.
State the obvious, yes. And sometimes people can't tell us apart. They think we're sisters, or they not tell us apart, but they can't tell our voices apart.
Right. Sometimes when I'm watching the show and I don't see who's on camera, I don't know, is that me talking? Is that Nancy talking?
And as I said, we've done many programs together, and we had the most fun in a program that was really not a traditional Sewing with Nancy show. It was a pledge special, and we did it in front of an audience. This is our second audience show, but this was our first one, and we had a band, a Sewing with Nancy band.
The jazz band.
Right, we had the Sewing with Nancy band. We did a little sewing.
And a little cooking.
And we planned this script in an airport.
Right. I guess I have to admit that I caused you to be late for your plane.
Yes, so I made her stay, and in the cafeteria we planned this. And it's kind of a little silly, little sewing, little cooking, and it's called Kick It Up a Stitch.
So then it says 3 ribs of celery diced.
Okay, yeah, 3 ribs of celery. Okay, here, there are 3 ribs already.
Okay.
And hey, we sew, we cook. I find it's much easier.
Yeah, really.
That's okay. All right. Okay. Mary, maybe just 1/8 of an inch, not 1/4 of an inch. Let me.
You and your rulers, Nancy. You and your rulers.
Well, Mary, thanks for being my guest. Thanks for being my friend, and thanks for being here.
You're
Mary
welcome.
Mallory.
You're welcome.
I love the interaction between Nancy and Mary Mallory, because inevitably something goes wrong, and it's always fun to watch the two of them.
I watch Sewing Nancy all the time. If I can't watch it, I DVR it, and have been for probably 20 years or more watching it.
Wow. Why?
It's great. It just informational. You learn new and different things. Keep up with the products. It's a wonderful show. It really is.
Well, yes, congratulations, and many more years.
Most of you know this program as Sewing with Nancy, but really it should be called Sewing with Nancy, Donna, Pat, Kate, Diane, Lois, Deanna. You get the idea. And 3 of us on this stage go to the studio every time. I'd like you to meet Donna Fensky and Pat Hahn. Donna is my right-hand person in producing Sewing with Nancy, making samples, planning the program. Pat is our wordsmith, our editor of all the books and booklets that we use to help you understand the program. And they come with me every taping date. They set up samples, they work in the control room, they make sure that I'm saying the right things, they follow my script. We work together as a team. And teamwork works at the studio, but sometimes there's more than we are bargaining for, Pat. You can tell a little story about our trips from Beaver Dam, Wisconsin to Madison, about an hour drive.
We've had some memorable trips going back and forth to Beaver Dam to Madison. We've gone through a blizzard, we've gone through ice storms, we've even traveled in a tornado warning. But the day that I recall, one of the days I recall the most is a day when it was really a beautiful sunny day, so weather wasn't any factor at all. This was a day when we were taping a program on bridal gowns. And the week before, we had taped the first portion of that program, and Susan Andrix, who is a bridal specialist, had been our guest, and she had left us some beautiful gowns and veils that we could use for the second part of the program. So on this particular day, we loaded all of our samples into the car, we loaded our notions, we loaded those gowns, and we started traveling out the highway going towards Madison. And shortly after we got out on the road, all of a sudden the hatchback of the van flew open, and all of the things from the back of the car spilled out onto the highway. So you can imagine there was a collective shriek on our part. And we pulled the car to the edge of the road, and I don't think you've ever seen the three of us move that quickly in our lives. So we hopped out of the car, gathered all of this stuff off of the highway. We had notions, we had scissors, we had shears, we had thread, we had bridal gowns all over the road. We managed to pick them all up and get them back into the van, and actually we were very fortunate because the weather was good. It was early in the morning, so there weren't any other vehicles on the road, and our bridal gowns were all in plastic bags. So we loaded everything carefully, proceeded back onto the highway on our way to Madison, but ever since, we've called that day or referred to that program as
The Runaway Bride. And Donna, one time you had to do extra sewing at the studio.
Well, sometimes we forget things like maybe a foot control or a notion, but this time Nancy forgot a garment. What had happened, we had finished taping 1.5 programs the week before of Fleece in a Flash, and Nancy forgot her cream turtleneck, okay? To wear, because we had to finish it for the second half of the program. So we had to come up with a plan A, which was Donna had to go shopping. First of all, the plan was to look for a cream turtleneck. Plan B was if I couldn't find a cream turtleneck, I'd have to do a cream t-shirt and transform it into a turtleneck. So it's summertime. Cream is not a popular color, but I was very lucky and I did find a cream t-shirt that needed to be transformed. So I had to cut 6 to 8 inches off of the bottom, redesign it for the turtleneck, and Nancy wore this underneath her fleece cardigan, and it was a very flashy Britney Spears top.
Well, as you can tell, there are more memories than one show can handle. We have our first program of our 30th anniversary special. We'll be back next time with our audience and also with more bloopers, with more memories on Sewing with Nancy. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now. 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 Bye.
A DVD of the two-part Sewing with Nancy's 30th Anniversary Special is available for $9.99 plus shipping and handling. To order the Sewing with Nancy's 30th Anniversary Special DVD, call 800-336-8373 or visit our website at sewingwithnancy.com/2614. Order item number SN2614, Sewing with Nancy's 30th Anniversary Special. Credit card orders only. To pay by check or money order, call the number on the screen for details. Visit Nancy's website at nancyzeman.com to see additional episodes, Nancy's blog, and more. Sewing with Nancy, celebrating 30 years of sewing and quilting with Nancy Zeman, has been brought to you by Baby Lock, Madeira Threads, Koala Studios, Clover, Amazing Designs and Class A Needles. Closed captioning funding provided by Oliso. Sewing with Nancy is a co-production of Nancy Zeman Productions and Wisconsin Public Television.